But we'll take our final break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about my guys for this upcoming season. We did this last week, and we had 5 guys that we broke down. We'll have 5 more for you today, and we'll keep kind of a running tally. This is something that I kind of wanted to do just to give you guys an idea of who I'm watching, so maybe if you turn on a Michigan State game or a North Carolina State game, you know that you at least one guy that you should be watching every single play. But also, it's a good way for you guys to come back at the end of the year and clown me because I was wrong about some of these guys, which is always a good thing for both of us. So it'll be really interesting to watch. This one is a little bit more based on the careers of the guys, but still think these guys are going to have fantastic 2024s. But for me, it starts with Aiden Childs. Aiden Childs might be my number one guy, if I'm being totally honest. I think this guy has the ability to do some things on the football field that not only very few people in the country can do, but very people alive can do. This guy has an athletic ability that are just off the charts. And I think one of the things for him is just get him reps. He came into different games at Oregon State throughout the year, almost every game really, but a lot of running packages, a lot of things that, just didn't really fully show what he's capable of doing, and especially didn't necessarily prepare him too much for a starting job. Now he's got that one, and he's going to Michigan State, and he's going to be under his old head coach, Jonathan Smith, and he'll get every single rep he wants. There is no chance that he is getting anything but first-team reps right now. There is very little chance that he gets benched at any point this season because, frankly, Michigan State's not going to be a very good team, and you'd rather have Aiden Childs be ready for 2025 than and struggle in 2024 and learn the ropes rather than pull him and then have to put him right back in 2025 and have the same struggles. So I think it'll be a really interesting season. His is going to be a little bit longer of a journey because the passing is just not necessarily where you want it to be. It's not necessarily bad by any means. He definitely has a ton of tools that can develop him into a very good passer, but as of right now, it's just not where you want it to be from a consistency basis, accuracy, all of those type of things. So it'll be fascinating to watch this kind of unfold. Brian Lindgren is the offensive coordinator over there. If he can put him in winning situations, this kid is going to excel because put him out in open field, put him out, rolling pockets, read options, whatever it looks like. Get him out in open space and just let him work because he can make a ton of things happen with his legs. And if you can pull a linebacker or a safety down when he leaves the pocket, you might just have someone over the top to make a big time play. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I think he is a guy that in his future can win the Big Ten, can go to the playoff, but it definitely won't be in 2024. I'll say that with my chest, but I really like this kid. I think he has the ability to do some really remarkable things at Michigan State and really develop into one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. But let's move on to Justice Haynes. This is a guy that is a little bit less, unknown. None of these guys are really unknown if you're a big-time college football guy, but Justice Haynes, for the life of me, I cannot figure out why more people aren't talking about him. This kid is just remarkable. He does everything really, really well, and he's one of those guys that's just built like that classic running back where if you're head on with him one-on-one in space, you might as well just take the business decision and get on the ground because this guy's going to run through you. He is just really, really incredible. Still has that speed on the outside that you need to be a dangerous running back. So this guy is frankly just terrifying. He can do so many really incredible things. And I think one of the big things that we thought we saw with Alabama a year ago was this classic murder ball, as they call it in Tuscaloosa, where we're going to run the ball, and we're going to run the ball some more, and we're going to make you quit. I think they have the ability to actually do that this year. Last year, the offensive line wasn't quite where you wanted it to be, so they couldn't necessarily do that. This year they can. With Jamarian Miller, with Justice Haynes, with Richard Young, they can absolutely play that type of game, and it might just be the game that they play and then just go over the top a couple of times, but Kalen DeBoer is going to spread the ball out a little bit more. He is going to kind of spread the field, but that helps us as well. You open running lanes, you make the job easier for O-linemen because they don't have to block 6 guys on 5. They can only block 5 because everyone else has an assignment in a passing game. So it'll be fascinating to watch this unfold. Frankly, when I look at Justice Haynes, I think he has the ability to be the next great Bama back. I think he can be a Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram type player. I don't know if he'll win a Heisman because, as we all know, that's become kind of a quarterback award since Derrick Henry won it even. But at the end of the day, this kid has all the talent in the world, and I think they're just going to be handing him the ball just a ton this upcoming season. So very much like him, cannot wait to see him on the field. Another guy I'm watching very, very closely, and honestly, one of my very personal favorites is Noah Rogers. He transferred over from Ohio State to NC State this past year, and frankly, he would have started on 90% of the teams last year if he was not at Ohio State. He was just at the best wide receiver room in the entire country. So he kind of came over to Raleigh and just immediately lit the world on fire. This dude absolutely got everything. Everything was rave reviews. Everyone was all over this kid. They absolutely loved what he did in the spring ball. And I think it's not because the NC State back end is bad. In fact, I think it's going to be really good. He just has tons of ability. His route running is really, really incredible. And there's tons of reasons that I like this kid. But the number one is he's not even the best wide receiver on the roster. Kevin Concepcion is going to be the guy that defenses really zero in on. He's going to be the guy that they circle on Monday and say, that's the guy you have to stop. If you can stop him, then we have a shot. That means Noah Rogers can fill in the cracks. Also, I think Justin Jolie is going to take a ton of attention in the middle of the field, which is going to open even more doors for Noah Rogers. I've said a couple of times that I think this will be their leading receiver. I think Kevin Concepcion will be a fantastic player and do incredible things this upcoming year, but I think when they need a third down or when both those guys are covered and really just blanketed, Noah Rogers is going to be able to get open and make some really, really fantastic plays. So very much like this guy, a great route runner, really sure hands, and definitely someone that can totally change the complexion of this offense. So if Grayson McCall can get back to that 2021 Grayson McCall, then an ACC title is absolutely on the table for this team, and Noah Rogers would have plenty to do with that. But let's move right along here, and Sonny Styles is someone we talked about yesterday when talking about this Ohio State roster, and I made the comparison between Sonny Styles and DeMarvion Overshown, the old Texas linebacker / safety, which is the same situation that Sonny Styles finds himself in. He is making his way down into the box to play linebacker this upcoming season after playing safety for the first couple of years at Ohio State, and I think it's going to work out really, really well. I think this kid struggled a little bit, covering some of the slot receivers, and some of the coverage assignments that he had were just a little bit too tough for him. But when you move him down into the box, it makes him an absolute torpedo. The dude can absolutely fly downhill and make some really, really good plays in the run game, but also drop back into hook coverage and kind of play that middle of the field or follow a tight end downfield or possibly play off a running back coming out of the backfield. So he can do a ton of really, really good things, but I think the biggest asset for them is just let Cody Simon and CJ Hicks hold down the middle of the field and then just use Sonny Styles as that rover. Just put him all over the field, put him pretty much somewhere different every single snap, and just let him go make plays, because that's going to be the best way for him to be effective for this team. And I think if Sonny Styles really hits the way that I expect him to, Ohio State's going to have the best defense in the country, and it could be by a pretty comfortable margin. So it'll be really interesting to watch this kid develop. He's one of those guys that I really love, and I'm watching incredibly closely going into this year. And then to finish it out here, Toriano Pride Jr., he is in a Clemson gear there. He is no longer at Clemson. He is at Missouri. I just could not find a Missouri clip for the life of me. So he is another portal pickup that I absolutely loved. I think is one of the more underrated ones of the entire cycle. He went to Missouri, and Pride left Clemson to replace two guys that were walking out the door at Missouri that are just huge. Enos Rakestraw and Chris Abrams-Drain were one of the best, maybe the best cornerback duo in the entire country a year ago. They were just absolutely incredible. Actually, there were a couple others that I don't want to disrespect in that way, but this one was very much near the top, and they're going to need guys to replace him, and Toriano Pride Jr. is absolutely going to be asked on to do that. He only played the first 4 games of the season last year at Clemson, but I think he did a really good job in those 4 games, has great ball skills, coverage ability, can do a lot of really, really good things on the back end, and definitely, I think just with more reps, will be able to become a really, really good player. So I think when you look at Missouri's defense, there are some worry spots. They brought in some guys on that back end that really do have to hit out of the portal if they're going to be successful. I think the defensive line is going to be solid, but I think someone like Williams-Nwaneri is going to have to step up as a freshman. But overall, I think there's a couple of guys on this defense that could totally unlock it. And I think Toriano Pride Jr. is one of them where if he gets a couple of picks, if he's a really sticky corner, if he's someone that you can trust on to just say, follow this guy the entire game, follow I was going to say Luther Burden, but he would only do that in practice. Follow Isaiah Bond, follow Dion Burks, whoever it is on the other side of the football, and be able to cover them really well. I think it's going to be a huge asset for Missouri and could put them in conversations for the SEC title and maybe even the playoffs. So it'll be fascinating to watch what happens with him over the next little bit, because I absolutely love this kid, and I think there's going to be a couple of headlines that have his name in bold when they talk about Missouri wins. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. But that'll do it for this edition of the GSMC College Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It does make a huge difference for us. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of the social pages for all of the content and updates you could possibly need. We just have incredible people doing incredible work across every single sport you could think of. So if you need anything in the world of sports, come on over to GSMC and we have you totally covered. But thank you once again for listening, and I will see you guys tomorrow.